Well, welcome back again, Realty Pros. We have Steve Hoover with us today, who's going to be sharing on Homesnap and how to get listings using Homesnap. I'm going to go ahead and turn the meeting over to him today. Welcome, Steve.
Good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm also actually going to turn my video off. I think it's distracting. So there we go. All right. Getting some feedback there, though.
Yes, there's feedback.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds like it's taken care of. Again, my name's Steve Hoover. I'm your customer success coach, and I do appreciate you allowing me to delay my presentation a week with all the issues we had with the listing database a week ago. I was extremely busy dealing with that. So I'm here today to talk about Homesnap. Homesnap is the Bright app. So when the question comes up, okay, what app do I use? It's Homesnap. So just go to your provider, whether it's the Apple iStore or the Google Play, enter Homesnap. You can download Homesnap. And there are two versions of Homesnap, essentially. There's a version the public can get, and there's the version that you, as a Bright subscriber, get. And that's Homesnap Pro. And I'll show you the difference between the two. My email address is in the bottom right corner if you want to contact me at another time. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to explain why I have these two screens here. Okay. Excuse me. Homesnap is actually also a website. And when I'm on, and I'm going to switch over to my phone a little later on so I can show you a few of the differences. But the reason I'm showing the website is it looks almost like your phone. So if you have it on your phone, it's going to look like this pretty much. You'll see the 5 buttons at the bottom, and we'll go over those different buttons and explain what they are. The one on the right, the one on the left is what the public will see. And I'll show you a few of the differences here. You get the pro part when you log in. Okay, so you're going to log in with your Bright ID and password. So it's real easy to get the pro part, which is what you have. So let's look at a few of the differences. This particular, there's a map here, and these are the active listings. And I have the same map up here on the right, although this is the pro part. This is what you would have. You'll notice the biggest difference is it has the coming soon. So the yellow or orange dots, icons are coming soon. Notice the public doesn't have that. So also, let's look at the filters. This is where you do your searches. You'll see the statuses. Here's what the status is that public can search. In fact, let me leave that open. And here are the statuses that you have. And you see the pro next to each one of those items. Those show what you have. As you see, the public doesn't get access to those particular listings on the app. Okay. You also notice they can search for sale. They can search for rent. You can search for sale, for rent, and you have a third button called All Homes, and I'll explain that a little later on. I'm not going to get into that detail right now. So let's take a look at this screen. Obviously, as I scroll up, you can see the different properties here. And I'm going to click on one of the properties within here. Just one at random. I'm going to click here. Here's the property. I can then click on it. It'll open up, as you see. Have all the photos here. Okay, some other things. There are 42 photos. You can locate it on a map. There's the price. Now it says your commute destinations. Okay, I'm going to show you a little later on. You can put in a location where you might work, and each of the listings come up will tell you if it's within an hour or less of where the house is you're looking for during a normal rush hour commute time in the morning. Okay, this one, since I put in NIH a while back, it's in Bethesda. It would take over an hour to get there from this particular property. Uh, Basic information about the property here. Agent actions, again, you see the pro. This means that you have access to this, the public won't see this. You can create a rapid CMA. There's something called a cell score. Now, you'll notice there's another kind of icon here called Pro Plus versus Pro. Pro Plus is an added extra. If you're interested in getting Pro Plus, you can subscribe to that. That will cost you extra. Pro is not extra. Pro is what everyone has with a basic service. We'll see some, and I'm not going to really get too much into Pro Plus. The cost for Pro Plus right now is on sale. It's been on pretty much on sale since we went into the pandemic for $99 a year. Normally $599 a year. So if you want to give it a try for a year, you can. Click on, you'll see different entries in here, and I'll point them out. When you click on them, you'll see if you get access to them, it'll take you in. If you can't, it'll pop up and say, okay, you want access, you got to pay this. Okay. All right, so we have comments there. Property history here. Okay. Related people. These are here's the owner and a former occupant for this property. I took this at random, so I didn't know what I would end up getting. There is a walk score here for this particular property. Confidential information, of course, it is a pro information here. So you have confidential information about here. Obviously you do, because there's the commission rate, etc., and information about the broker. 24-hour notice, occupancy. Well, as I scroll down here, confidential documents. Obviously, you have access to them on your phone. You wouldn't have, the client wouldn't have access to them, or anybody accessing that doesn't have access. Related agents, the listing agent. Listing media, we have information about the schools, and they do rate the schools here. Commute time, and I put in NIH, there it is, so it's over an hour. Neighborhood map, there's the property lines there. Information about mortgage and affordability, so if somebody wanted to purchase this, about what the mortgage would run at 4% interest. Similar listings in the area. And I won't click on the, whoops, one more. All right, there was one more. It was listings in the area. Now, I can share this information by clicking share. And you can share it, you can tweet it, you can put it on Facebook, Pinterest, or print it out. This is a PDF document. So you can, and remember, we're on the website right now. Now, when the public's in a listing, they will be able to see the listing agent over here. Okay, I'm not going to open one of these. It's very similar, but you can register your client with yourself, and when they open up any listing in that case, they will only see your name. They will not see the listing agent. So what's that say? You need to register your client. Now, how do you do that? Okay, let's go down to some of the buttons at the bottom. Basically, first off, this button at the bottom brings up the standard screen. Let's go into Pro Agents here. Okay. Those are ads, by the way. Okay. So let's scroll down. Agent only features. Again, there's Pro. Advertise a listing. Now, if you've ever entered a listing in Bright, which most of you probably have, you know you can advertise on Google, Facebook, Pinterest, or Waze. This is what this is about. Okay. Easier to do on the live database when you go into Bright and add your listings in right here, but that's what that's about. This is a Pro Plus thing. This is Pro Plus, this is Pro Plus, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go down to invite clients. Okay. You want to register your client. And again, you want to register them so when they go into this app, they will only see your name and not the listing agent, essentially. Now, there are a couple ways of doing this, one of which is to just email this link to the person and you can invite them. They click on it, they register with you. You can also post this link on, say, your Facebook page, or put it on your email response, your email address, that type of thing. Signature. That's what I'm trying to think of. Email signature. You can put it there, and I'll show you. There's an easier way. You can also text it to somebody when you're on your phone. So that's one of the limitations here. But when I switch over to my phone a little later on, you'll see how this works. Plus, if you have allowed your Homesnap to share your contacts, all your contacts will be listed there, and that would be very easy to send out an invitation from your contacts. And we'll see how that looks a little later on. Okay. Invite clients. So that's clicking there. We'll get that. There's another place to find that, by the way. Homesnap Pro University. Just tips and tricks. Different additional training is here. These are your Bright MLS bookmarks. So if you want to go in and access your listings from here, you can. It will access the Bright database if you want to search, but it works much better with just listing management, essentially. So you can set up and access your listings from here. And this is help and feedback. All right. Also, I do want to scroll to the bottom because if you have questions for Homesnap, here is a support email address right down here. You will notice they are located in Bethesda, by the way. So you can click there and access them if you have issues. One issue you may have is when you first log in and enter your username and password, if it comes back and says it's already being used, you will have to contact Homesnap. Homesnap will have to delete the old access out for whatever reason. I don't know why they would have it that way, but if it says it's already being used, they'll have to delete it out so you can re-enter it. All right, let's go over to me. Okay, so I've entered my photo. There's wallpaper in the back. Okay, again, ads. You can set up your public profile here. Your agent only profile here. In other words, other agents can access this profile. Who's viewed my profile is a Pro Plus, so you'd have to pay extra for that. Clicking here will access everyone in your office. All right. If you have entered clients, they will be here. Okay. I have one client I entered. And if I go back, oops, better way of doing it here. You can save searches, as you see. And over here, you can see save search. If you are getting the Pro Plus, that's payment methods there. Manage MLS identities. If you do have access to another MLS, which probably most of you don't, you can set this up to access that other MLS. Notifications. Somebody has texted you because you can text from the app. If for whatever reason you don't get or you don't notice the text that you've gotten, it will automatically forward that text after a period of time to your email. Okay. And then you have help and feedback. You also can set up preferred areas. I live in Frederick, and that's why I have set up Frederick here. And what does preferred areas do? Let's click on this left item over here. If I click on news, basically it's going to give me all the properties in this area. Okay. So that's what that's about. I think we went through everything here already. Whoops, that's preferred areas. Okay. Let me click here. All right, because I want to show you this particular screen. First off, the first thing that happens is it goes to the area I live. Okay, so this is Frederick. This is actually north end of Frederick. I'm going to move it back to where it was. Let's see, Kettering. There we go. So as you see, you could search by city, zip, neighborhood, that type of thing. I'm going to remove the outline. Okay, so here's the area. Of course, this means there's 24 active listings in Lake Arbor here, that area. So if I scroll down a bit, yeah, you can see the individual ones now. Okay, purple means open houses, by the way. All right, so let's take a look at these buttons on the right side. I have a plus and minus. Why? Because I'm on a website. And I didn't explain earlier why I'm showing you on the website, because I can move my cursor around. You can see where I'm pointing. When I'm on my phone, I can tell you where I'm tapping, but you can't see where I'm tapping. So I kind of use this first, and I go through. Really, it's a replication of your phone, your display on your phone, pretty much. So here, but here's one difference. If you're on your phone, what do you do to scroll, to zoom in and out? You put two fingers on the screen and you spread them apart, or you bring them together. Okay, that works the same way. So this has the plus and minus. You won't see that on your phone. Here's where I set up the commute. Okay, you can set up a commute, and your client has the same option. There we go. All right, I set it up to NIH a long time ago, so that's why it's there. So any property I open up, it will tell me how long it takes to get there. Okay. You can also draw. Okay, just using your finger if you're on your phone. And I just drew that circle. And those properties will be the ones that should come up. Remove outline. Down here we have layers. Let's scroll down a little bit. Whoops. This will display the schools. As you see, when I clicked on it, you see the hats there popping up. And this is just satellite view. Okay. So you'll have the same ones on your screen with one exception. You won't have this, but right where commute is, there will be a bullseye. Now, what is that? When you click on the bullseye, and I'll show you that when I get to my phone. When you click on that, it uses your GPS to determine where you are. And it will take your screen to your location. All right. So kind of a neat thing there. Texting, you can text if your client's registered with you. You can text them here. And again, this is my news feed, basically listings in the area. Okay. I haven't talked about something up here. Okay, it's called All Homes. Now, I don't know if any of you have taken the Remine training. Okay. Remine has sell scores. Remine has all the properties that are off the market and all the ones on the market. Homesnap has done something similar. Okay. In fact, let's go back to Kettering here. There we go. Okay, Homesnap has done something similar. It will list all the properties. Let's scroll over here where there's more properties. And as I scroll down, you'll see, there we go. You see all the blue dots. Those are all the properties out there. Now, when I click on all homes, I can actually set up likely to sell. Okay. You have most likely, likely, and least likely to sell. All right. And you'll see there's the likely to sells up here. I'm just going to click on one and take a look at what kind of information we can get. Actually, I need to apply that, I guess. Oh, they're all 3 checked. Maybe I can find a most likely to sell. Not in that area. Ah, come on. Okay, there we go. Now I should be able to click on one of these. There we go. And let's take a look at this. This is a Google Street Map view, by the way. Let's take a look at what kind of information is there. Um, what does it mean if it's checked? Basically, the most likely to sell and least likely to sell is run through an algorithm, similar to what Remind does, to determine if this property is one that may be ready to be, people might be interested in selling. The algorithm, I'm guessing, has things like how long they live there, do they have equity, uh, size of the property, is it a neighborhood of high turnover, that type of thing. Because if you think about it, if someone just moved in last year, they're not ready to sell. If they don't have any equity or very little equity, most people need equity, they're not ready to sell. So they use an algorithm to come up with likely to list or least likely to list. So this is just a property out there. All the properties are in the database. So let's see what kind of information is available. First off, you have a photo. Flashback, you notice there's a plus next to it. This means this property was in the MLS earlier, and if you want to look at earlier photos, you can get them if you subscribe to the Pro Plus. But you can find those in Bright anyway. Okay, so there's really no advantage for getting it here. There's a street view and location on the map. This is off market. In other words, it's not for sale. This is what Homesnap has decided the house is worth if it was on the market today. Okay, again, they run another algorithm. It's similar to, everybody's familiar with Zillow's estimate, right? Similar to that. So it's an estimate of what they think the house will sell for. There is the NIH that I put in earlier. There's some of the sides. Now there is something called a speed sell here, which I think is kind of gimmicky. I'll show you how this works. This is available for any property with Pro Plus, any active property with Pro Plus, but since this isn't an active property, basically they say it would sell for 416, and it's a 68% chance it would sell within 2 weeks. But what if I increase the price? Look what happens further down. Prediction, how many weeks it would take to sell. 87% it won't sell if they have it priced 33% over what they expect it to sell by. And as I move it the other way, you see the percentages change the other way. As I say, it's kind of gimmicky, but it's there just to show you what's there. Rapid CMA is a CMA program. Net sheet, contact the owner. Okay. We'll get to that. I'll scroll down and show you what that is. Likely to list. Remember, this was a likely as opposed to most and least. As you see, it's got a medium score, 25, almost 26% equity. It's been owned for 5.2 years. There's no previous listings. It is owner occupied and the mortgage is in good standing. This is the property history, who the last listing agent was, when it was sold, how much it sold for. Okay. Current owner is here. This particular current owner does have an email address. Email address is down here for this other person, for this particular owner. Remind has something similar. Remind will have on some properties, like some properties here, email addresses for the owners. There may be phone numbers. This one doesn't have any phone numbers, but they also may display phone numbers, just like Remind. And if they're on the do not call list, it does tell you they're on the do not call list. So you obviously don't call those phones. Let's see, it was owner occupied, net equity, property summary, estimated value. Again, this is an estimate like a Zestimate, okay? Now, this is something, and everything we've looked at above this is pretty much the same thing you'll find on Remind. And actually, I think it's easier to do in Remind. But this is something that is not listed in Remind. Homesnap comes up with a rental analysis. In other words, Homesnap saying if this property was rented, this is what it would rent for. Okay, estimate, of course. We saw some of these at the top: photos, old listings, street view, map view. I'm not going to open up these. Schools, same thing we saw at the top: commute time, neighborhood map. We saw it on an active listing. Remember, similar listings, recent sales. So that's what this third option is here. If I scroll, let's go back to the main screen here. That's all homes. Okay, so these are for sale, these are for rent. This is all homes, and you have access to all homes in that particular case. Again, similar information, but let me open up one more thing here, because this is a filter for all homes. We had opened up least likely, most likely to list, etc. But distressed properties, it's a plus option. It's free in Remind. You get it part as Remind. Ownership type, part of Remind. Home equity, part of Remind. Loan balance, part of Remind. So they have similar information, but they do require you to subscribe to get some of this information that is available in Remind already. So just FYI. But there's other things that Pro Plus does. If you want to give it a try, $99 a year right now on sale, but it is available for you. Okay. All right. Questions on that? Because I want to switch over to my phone because there's other things to show you.
Someone did put a question in the chat. I see it
What
says.
does it mean if it is checked?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did glance at that earlier. I can't remember where I was at the time. I think I was looking at this, although it was a different spot. This is obviously, this would be filtering out most likely to sell, likely and least likely to sell. So if I check that, most likely to sell, click apply. Of course, I'm in a different area now. Come on. Let's see if it'll display anything here. You got to scroll down to see these. This drives me nuts here. Let's see, is it still checked? Oh. All right, there we go. Okay. Those are the more likely to sell ones in this particular subdivision. These are townhouses, obviously, up in Frederick. Filters for most likely, least likely, and I thought we had decided to bypass those that were checked. Okay, so that's how that works. You can select which ones you want to select here. Most likely, likely, least likely. Again, it's kind of, I think it's easier to do in Remind. Does it have the same? It has the same information pretty much, but of course, you may find some in Remind called a high sell score, which is most likely to list. In Homesnap, they may not, obviously, since they're two different companies and they use a different algorithm, they may not match. So you may also find some emails in one and phone numbers in one that you won't find in the other. But they both have similar information. I think it's a lot easier to use Remind to get this information. But it's something to think of. If you're in Remind, you might also go in here and see what kind of information you have in the same particular neighborhood. When you're looking for likely to sell, think about prospecting. You know, you're trying to find somebody who might be ready to list their house. Okay. It also may be an area that you farm. Or maybe it's a neighborhood where you have a client looking for a property in the neighborhood and there's none for sale. You could use this as a way to find possible properties that, you know, and contact these people who you may be interested in selling. The thing about Remine is you can print out mailing labels. Okay. So that's another option that is in Remine besides the phone number and email addresses on some properties. And of course, in here, it's just phone numbers and emails. Okay. All right. Switch over to my phone. All right. So I need to stop sharing here. All right. And let's go over to Homesnap here. Now the Android, I have an Android phone, by the way. iPhone's slightly different. Okay, and I can't tell you the difference because I've never had an iPhone. So FYI, mostly it's the same, but it's slightly different. Let's talk about a few things on this screen. First off, top right corner, you see looks like a camera, right? If you're in front of a house, you can tap that camera and it will bring up that house right on your screen because it uses your GPS. So that little camera icon is going to be on every screen you go on. So again, neat way. Click on that particular icon. It'll basically bring up the house, whether it's on the market or not, on your screen. Okay. Now back on this screen, let's take the 5 buttons down the right side. Notice they're slightly different. And top is commute. All right. So that's where you can put in your property you're trying to commute to. You can draw. The second thing is draw. So if I click here and I draw, obviously there's drawing. Okay. And it'll bring up properties there. Of course, I circled probably no properties there. Okay. Now, here's one big difference. You see the third, the bullseye. I mentioned this earlier, near me. Okay, properties near me. When you tap there, it uses your GPS, takes you right to your location. So it'll move the map right there. So if I tap there, I'm right there, and that blue dot in the center is where I'm located. Okay, across from the community college there. Okay. Layers, there's your schools, your satellite view. And then finally, list basically brings up your properties. And if you tap on the screen, it'll open it up fully, as you see here. And then if you tap again or tap on the list, it basically, here are all the properties that are listed here. Okay. You'll notice you also can save your search. So right at the top of the map in the center, you see there's a thing to save search. And again, the screen looks pretty much the same as the website. But let me go into Agents Pro. Okay, bottom right corner. Looks similar, looks similar. And let's go down to Manage Clients. I'm going to tap on Manage Clients. There's my one client. Okay, don't have too many. Let's go over to Me, right side bottom. Click on Me. And slightly different screen here. Okay, you see where it says Clients and Contacts. You also see Invite. You would want to invite somebody to register with you. Click on Invite. And since I've shared my contacts with Homesnap, here are all my contacts that are already in there. Okay, so I could select, select one. Obviously, I have no idea what that is, what that's in my book. But if I click there and I click send in the upper right corner, that would send an invitation to a client to register. Okay. Now you can select all, but I'd be hesitant to send all of your contacts an invitation, but you could. Now above that, below add clients, it says share your profile link. Okay. Let me click share. Let me show you. Okay. You can share it on Facebook. So you can put your link on Facebook, have people register that way. Now see where it says choose another? Let me tap there. And it brings up your emails, your texting, anything else that you use to communicate with. You can click there and say if you wanted to text somebody an invitation. You use your text, and it will put a text in there. Okay. So, a couple ways to do it. And again, if you share it, your contacts, all your contacts are going to end up listed here. Okay. So that's one big difference with phone versus the website we were on. What else is different? You'll see my stories, add a story, introduce yourself with a story. There's a plus next to it. Again, that would be an extra cost if you want it. You have recently favorites and recently viewed. This pretty much is the same that we looked on the other screen. Okay. Let's see if there's any difference here. Again, some of these try concierge. Again, it's a plus. Pro Plus. These are Pro Plus. Website, it's an extra cost. Manage clients, you can go in and manage your clients. Okay, clients, favorites, recently viewed. I guess I ought to load more people in here, even if they're not real. Okay. Requests. Now, there is a way for them to contact you. And I can't show you on this screen, I don't think. No, because this is the pro access. But upper right corner, they can register with you if they'd like. Now I can't show you on this screen because this is a pro screen, which is what you have. But you'll notice on the standard app, upper right corner, they can click there and they can actually find your name and basically email you, and then you have to accept them instead of the other way around. Okay. Let's see. A couple other things to talk about that I can tell you about. There's limited things I can show you, but I can talk about a couple things. And let me just check my notes here. A couple things to tell you. There is something called a safety timer built into the app. So if you're at a house, and you have to set this up ahead of time, by the way. If you're at a house, you can click on this safety timer, set it up. So when you enter the house, you start the timer, okay? If during the time you're at the house, you have a concern about your client, okay? It will require you after a certain number of minutes to tap on your phone to reset the timer for another 10 minutes or to turn it off. If you don't, it will automatically text the person you set this up for to contact the police. Okay, so it's called a safety timer. It is connected to that listing. And so if you see a safety timer out there, you can set it up. It will set up ahead of time. It will contact whoever you have the text set up for to notify police if you don't do something on your phone to stop it, essentially. Okay. A couple other things. There is something called a Homesnap story. This is available for everyone. Okay, got a question here. What does the icon with the list next to it mean? Let me tap on it. I'm going to tap on the list, bottom right corner. You will see. There you go. It's a list of all the properties. Okay. So if you want to get rid of the list, essentially tap Homes in the bottom center there. So if I tap Homes, I'm sorry, tap the map. So if I tap the map, it closes that down. So that's what that was about. The school scores is from greatschools.org. Okay, so if you're interested about the school scores, that's where they are. Homesnap stories. You can, if you have a listing, an active listing, you can set up a Homesnap story. The story will use your photos that you've entered. You can create this video using the photos. You can add music to it. You can add captions under it. And not only would it be on Homesnap to share on Homesnap for anybody, but it will also allow you to share it on social media. Okay. Those are called Homesnap stories. I don't have a listing, so I can't show you, but just so you know what those are about. Also, there's something called walk the property lines. So when you're out at a listing, what you do is you can take your phone, find the link that says walk the property lines, tap it. Again, you have to be at the listing. Tap it, it will open up your phone's camera. And you're outside, you're looking at your phone's camera. Basically, it's projecting in front of you. And where the property line is will appear on your phone's screen with a dashed outline. And as you walk, you will see that outline move, essentially. So it uses GPS and it knows the borders of the property. So as you walk, you will be able to see where the border of the property is using your phone. So it's called walk the property line. Okay. Homesnap is available in different parts of the country. Obviously, it's all within Bright and other areas. Let's see. I'm just checking my notes here to see if there's anything else that tell you about. Again, you can text from here, text your client, text another agent. If you don't read them in time, it's automatically sent to your phone. I'm sorry, to your email. Okay. All right. So both versions are free, by the way. There's no cost for either Homesnap version, whether it's the public or the agent. And again, the only difference between the public and the agent is once you download it, it looks like the public. You log in using your Bright ID password. It becomes Homesnap Pro. And then that's the agent version of it. Okay. Let's see. No more chat. It pretty much covers everything. It's very useful when you're out in the field, obviously, because all the active listings out there, and actually all the listings that aren't active are also out there. So it's a nice tool to have. It is as I say, it is the Bright app. There used to be an MRIS app before we switched over to Bright. If you're still using that, delete it. Okay, get rid of it because has not been updated. It's not used anymore. So the only app we're using is this Homesnap one. Okay. Questions?
Yes, Steve, would you please cover the snapping feature? So when our agents can actually use HomeSnap to snap homes, what that does, how it
I
positions
can
them,
explain it. I can't show you. Okay.
of course.
I think you're referring to the camera. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
See the upper right corner. If you tap there, let me tap there. Let me see what happens. It should open up my camera. Yep. Obviously, what am I looking at? My phone or my laptop here. But you frame your shot of the property you're standing in front of, and then just tap the blue button there at the bottom, and it will basically bring up that property. Now, as I say, it could be an active property. It could be a non-active property because they're in the database too. So that's one way to actually bring up the property. Obviously, the other way, clicking the near me on the right side, the button in the middle on the right side will use your GPS to locate where you are. Okay. But that camera should be on every page. So if I go from page to page, whoops, notice still up there. Well, I take that back. I thought it was on every page. It's on that one. It's on that one. Messages, it's on that one. Come on. Trying to get to news. I keep getting something else. As you see, they stop sharing. I don't want to hit that. But anyway, you get the idea. So it's on most of the pages. But yeah, it's a neat little trick there. Stand in front of the property, click the map, and based on GPS, etc., it'll pull up the property for you right on your camera or right on your phone. Okay.
One more question for you. As it pertains to the public profile for the homes that you snap, how does that affect your public profile?
Public profile. I'm not sure what you mean.
Okay, so when you snap a photo of either of the listings you're standing in front of in the event that you want to market in the area, those homes then show up on your public profile. So when you snap them and then when you favorite them as well, in the event that someone's looking you up, then those homes will show.
I don't think so. It shouldn't affect your public profile. Your public profile, if we go into my public profile,
It'll show the homes that you've snapped.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, now notice as I'm scrolling down here, all the plus options. Okay. Oh, interesting. All right. Who's viewed? Premium. All right. Something I learned. Google Business Pro. As I say, a lot of these options here that we're looking at are plus. That runs $99 right now. So if you want to give it a try, I've talked to a few agents who have used it. They do like it. But it's been a very small number, 3 or 4 have said they've used the plus. They do like the way it works and what it does. But that's all I can tell you because I don't have access to it. So I can't give you much information about it. Okay. And there it is. Become a Homesnap Pro Plus member. And some of the things it offers with that option. Again, some of the information that's in here that it will unlock is available in Remine and on the Bright website, such as the old photos of the old listings, and some in Remine. All right. So if I click on my agent profile, and of course those are your basic setups. You want to make sure that's correct. And of course, who's viewed my profile is a Pro Plus. Okay, so notice it says, okay, unlock who's viewed, and you got to pay for that. Although it tells me no agents have viewed my profile in the last 90 days. All right, which doesn't surprise me. Okay, since I am not an agent anymore. Other questions? All right. Well, if there are no more questions, let's go ahead and end the webinar. In fact, let me I was going to put up my contact information again. Let me stop sharing there. Excuse me. And here's my contact information. So if you would like to get a hold of me, it's right here. And okay, guess that's it.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Steve. As always, very valuable information, and we learn more every time.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to go ahead and end the recording now.